What is up there, guys? This is Cobb, and in this quick video I'm going to aim to teach you what Stellaris is all about and how the game works in less than 5 minutes. Why do I think that this is necessary? Well, because Paradox games are notorious for being some of the most complex out there, with the steepest learning curves that I've ever encountered, at least in any games that I've played. So, let's go ahead and begin with the overview. So Stellaris is a grand strategy game in which you can play as any faction that you choose from either pre-made factions like so, but where's the fun in that? Or you can create your own factions and give them whatever kind of traits that you like. For example, the Quiet of Felmuri here is Xenophile and Pacifist faction. They just want to be friends with everybody and they want to keep to themselves, stay out of wars, and just live a nice peaceful existence, happy alongside their neighbours. Contrast that with the likes of the Vivalian Reach, which is a faction that I made that run all kinds of nasty things like slaving guilds, fanatic authoritarians, and xenophobes. A little bit racist, like to claim slaves, basically. So those are the kinds of factions that you can make. I'm going to hop into the game right now and just talk about how the game actually works. Another reason that I'm doing this is, of course, because I've got a bunch of videos lined up in which I'm playing this game on the hardest difficulties available. I've beat this game maybe once, I think, so trying to beat the game on the hardest difficulties possible, it's a hell of a goddamn challenge for me. And so far, well, I'm not going to spoil too much. Alright, species overview. So, have a little bit of a closer look at our species. You see we've got our leader here, High Countess Olga. She gives us a bunch of bonuses and stuff, including these. Blah 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 blah. Got some little ruler traits here. Governing ethics we can see. We can see our civics here as well, slaver guilds, stuff like that. So this just goes to show that all of these little modifiers that you get for the type of faction that you're playing do have a pretty big impact on the way that you're going to be trying to win the game. You can win the game either by making allies all over the galaxy and coming to control most of it. This is the galaxy map, by the way. As you can see, it's pretty vast. We start off in just this little corner over here. Or you can win the game by just annihilating everybody else. You can win the game via vassalizing everybody else, so conquering every other empire and essentially making them subservient to you. There's many ways that you can win the game. As for our planets, of course we only start off with one planet right here in the Luzra star system. This is our capital planet right here, the Veil. So if I just double click this over here on my little navigator, it's going to take me down to view the planet itself. There it is. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it great? If I click on the surface right here, I get to see who is working on the surface. Each one of these little dudes right here is a pop. They're all working on different tiles on the planet. If I want to move one pop over here and start producing some physics research instead, I can just drag him up here, plonk him there, and then we're suddenly gaining physics research instead. Likewise, if I move him down, you're going to see the physics research go down, and our minerals income go up. Like so. Fairly simple stuff. That's how you work planets. Of course, you want to be trying to get your hands on as big a planet as possible. Some planets will only have like 10 tiles for your pops to work on. Other planets can go up to like 25 tiles, which is just the most incredible planet ever. So that's a planet's overview. You want to micromanage these as much as you can, build buildings on these that match the minerals or the whatever deposit is found on the tile. So for example, this is science, build. We want to build science labs on here because it already has some physics. If I try to build something that is not a science lab, for example a monument right here, which is going to give us some unity, it's going to mute the collection of the two physics that are kind of native to that tile. Whereas if I click the science lab, boom, it's a matching tile, so it's just fine. Same thing here with mining posts. Build little mining networks here. Just like so. So that is planets, and man, this is not gonna get done in 5 minutes, dude, but I'm gonna do my best. Okay, so that's planets. Starbases overview. So this little icon right here means that we have a starbase in this system. So if I click on this, it will open up our starbase. And as you can see, I can also click it from here as well. This is the Luzra station that we're looking at right now. So if I double click this, it will be hovering over the star in the middle of the system. It has 486 military power, so it is able to defend itself. It's got some little missile units and stuff on here and things that it can actually defend itself with against enemy attacks. We can build some buildings on here like a shipyard to create ships, which we can do via this. What else can you build here? Defense modules, stuff like that, help it defend itself. You can build a trading hub, which will give you some energy credits at the end of every turn. And blah 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 blah, you get the point. Starbases, really, really nice to have in systems where you already have a planet, or in a choke point that you want to defend. So for example, if there were enemies up here, I could put a starbase in this star right here, or in this star right here, really fortify it up, and ensure that no enemies can come down here to take me out. Or at least they can try, but the idea is we can turn them into mincemeat, pretty much. So that is Starbases. The ship overviews. Okay, so moving down this list right here, next up we have military fleets. As you can see, we have 3 out of 20 in this particular military fleet, so there's only 3 ships in here. There it is. These are our little starting corvettes. 108 power level. Of course I can control these. I can move them around to wherever I want them to go. Yep, just close that. I just unpaused the game right now so I can actually just show you just steering our little dudes around. There they go. I can of course move these to explode systems. Of course I haven't explored any of these systems yet, so I can't actually send my ships out just yet to explore any of those and fight off any neighboring aliens that might be around us. But what we can do is move on to our next ship, which is, let's go to the science ship next. We'll get to the construction ship in just a second. Our science ships, okay, I'm going to double click this. There he is right there, looking badass as fuck. So if we zoom all the way out, I can send my science ship to these systems as a kind of recon unit. And what he's going to do is survey the system. If I hold shift, I can queue up these with right click. And he's just going to go ahead and scout all of these systems. And this system right here, our starting system, Luzra, has already been scouted. So you can see that there are some available resources here. We can be gathering 3 energy credits here. We could be gathering 2 minerals here. And 2 points of science research here. That's where the construction ship comes into play. So if I double click here, it's going to take me down to my happy little construction ship. There he is. Good stuff. And what I can do is either just right click on the star itself and queue up building these. It's basically 90 minerals per station that I want to build. Mining stations, there's 2 of them that I can build, so that's 180. Or I can just build the research station. But I'm just going to do it manually from in here. So if I zoom all the way in, there's the mineral station right there. So if I just right click this, build mining station. And once he's done building that, that's obviously going to increase our mineral income by +2. Fairly simple stuff. And that brings us nicely on to resources. So the downside of building mining stations like this is that every mining station that you build around a resource node costs 1 energy to maintain. So that brings us on to energy. Energy is required to run almost every building. It's required to run these star bases right here. It's required to run your ships. So even my construction ship itself is costing 1 energy to upkeep. The mining station it's going to build here is going to cost 1 energy. And all of the buildings on my capital world right now are also costing energy to upkeep. This is costing 1 energy. This is costing what? Okay, so my planetary capital doesn't cost anything, but these farms cost energy to upkeep. The science labs cost energy. The only buildings that don't are of course buildings that actually produce energy. So we've got some power plants right here also producing energy. With energy, you always want to stay in positives. If you're ever at a point where you're losing energy, I believe that it reduces the power level of your fleet because they're running on less power than they should be. And of course, it just sucks because, well, you go into energy negatives and your buildings just stop working. So that's great. You always want to stay in positives on energy. Next up we have minerals. Minerals is the most simple resource. You just want as many of these coming in every month as possible. Right now we only have +12 coming in per month. Once you get into late game, you're looking at bringing in like anywhere between 500 to 1k, maybe even more minerals per month, so you're just building all the time. And these are used to build everything. These are used to build, of course, mining stations like so. As you saw with the planet, they are used to build buildings. The science lab costs 60 and provides us with a bunch of different science incomes. Yeah, minerals, you want as many as possible. Food. The more food income you have, the quicker your population grows. So you can see right here we have a grayed out pop right here. This is not a functional pop. Once this loading bar right here is done, you can just see it's got a little loading bar at the bottom here. It's just got a tiny bit of progress. Once this loads up, this pop will fully come online and be able to start working on a tile. So once the loading bar gets to like here and it's almost done, I'd want to go ahead and build a mine on this tile so that this pop has somewhere to work. If not, it will become an unemployed pop and won't be doing much of anything. So that's what food does. Again, always want to stay in positives on food. At least only just in positives, if not by quite a lot. Influence. This is a resource used to make political maneuvers. For example, initiating edicts, which might increase your empire's mineral output for a certain amount of time, or energy output for a certain amount of time, or etc, etc. Influence is also used to expand your system. So if I wanted to, let me just go ahead and cancel this, just so we have the resources to actually do this. If I wanted to go ahead and build a outpost on this system right here, it's going to cost me minerals because it's a building, but it's also going to cost me influence because it's not currently within our zone of control, which is right here. So my science ship has just explored that, which is great. It's got a lot of surveying to do, and it's got to figure out all of the resources that are in this system before I can do anything here. And then I can send over my construction ship to build a Starbase outpost. I can't do it yet because the system isn't fully scouted, but it would cost influence and minerals. Unity. These essentially unlock these special tech trees that help you shape the theme of your empire. If you're playing a military style faction, you probably want to go for domination or supremacy before anything else. If you're playing a pacifist, you probably want to go for diplomacy. If you're playing a very, very spiritualist empire, you might want to go for harmony. If you're playing a trading empire, prosperity is great, etc, etc, etc. You eventually do end up unlocking all of these as the game goes on, providing you survive that long, which, well, fuck it, I'm not going to spoil anything again for the upcoming series, but yeah, the way that you build those early on is super, super important. These incomes right here are just different types of science: physics, society, and engineering. As you can see right here, I have to select researchers for all of these, so this is my physics scientist, society scientist, engineering scientist. I can select different research paths for all of these, so I can improve my science labs and make them physics labs. Sure, let's queue that up. We got right here, we've got some plus monthly unity right here, which will increase my unity income and help me unlock those nice tradition perks sooner, so I can pick that up. And then for engineering, this is usually to do with buildings and ship building, so I don't know, I might want to improve my mines here, just so I can increase my mineral network once I upgrade those. Alright, and I believe that that is pretty much it. The last thing, actually, that's kind of important to keep an eye on, I guess if you're spectating the game, is naval capacity. Right now, we have 3 ships out of a possible 20 in our naval capacity. But the interesting thing about naval capacity is that you can go over capacity. I can have 50 ships with only 20 capacity if I want to. However, as soon as you go over capacity, your ships start becoming more and more and more expensive as a percentage to upkeep. So they start costing more and more and more energy credits to upkeep the higher you go over your naval capacity. So if you're desperate, you can do it. If you're facing a super, super powerful opponent and you have some energy to spare, screw it. You can just go over your goddamn naval capacity and it can be fine. But typically speaking, you want to stay at around naval capacity. And that's pretty much it. That is Stellaris. Like I said, I've played through this game a few times now at this point. I have a good amount of hours played. And in the upcoming series, we're going to try to beat the game on the hardest difficulties possible. Let's do this shit.